Hello, welcome back. Just a quick video on subject of YouTube, really, and comments. I deleted a comment a few weeks ago. I made a comment on YouTube about a banana being rubbish left on a mountain. And one chap gave me a load of abuse, said it wasn't rubbish, with a lot of foul language. So I took the decision, which I didn't think that I ever would do, was to delete it. But only because, really, of the unfounded language. I just didn't agree with it. He may have been right to say that it wasn't rubbish, it was just a banana skin. But I wasn't happy with that being there anyway. But so I made a comment about it. He wasn't happy about it and went on a rant. As far as I'm concerned, that YouTube is an open platform. I put things out there, and so does everybody else, and so do you. And you know, people are allowed to make comments. We live in a democratic society, which you have one side of an argument to another, and that is fair dues. And I agree with that. That's how it should be. But you have to draw a line, I think. There was another chap on there that had made two comments, which I agreed with. And one was that I'd set my tent up on a mountain too early, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he made a comment about that. Also, that I put my tent too near a footpath, which I commented on the video. I parked about 20 feet away, and it is what it is. That was it. So he made a comment about that, but I did agree with him. It was fundamentally wrong. Then the other day, on the way to work, I was thinking about it, and I thought, is it wrong? And that was the question I kept asking myself. Are both of them wrong? Because I set the tent up during foul weather. In reality, it was a storm, and so I set the tent up for safety reasons, really, because I could then get out of the rain and the wind. But ultimately, I made the decision to pull the tent down anyway and come down the mountain because the weather wasn't giving up. I thought it would sort of like slow down. So I got into the tent really for a couple of 3 hours just to make sure, or to wait until the storm had passed, but it didn't. So I thought, I don't want the tent collapsing at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I came down. And then his other comment was about that I parked the tent too near a footpath, which I may have just mentioned. But anyway, I did that as well because there was no other dry spot around further away from the path, although in reality there's no one on the mountain. So the first one about setting the tent up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't think is wrong. I think it's a judgment call when you're there in the moment. So if you're new to wild camping or camping per se, whatever it is, if you're on a mountain or a hill or on a path, a long distance path, and the weather comes in, I think it's perfectly acceptable to set your tent up for safety reasons and get out of there and just wait for the weather to pass. I don't see the difference between that, which I did, and I've done in the past, where I've unravelled my bivvy bag and got in it at the side of a mountain during a bad storm during the day and stayed there for 3 or 4 hours, waited till it's passed. I've also set it up during the day with a basher over the top. So I don't see anything wrong with that either. And then I thought, well, okay, I've seen people on YouTube set up day camps with putting a basher over trees, or not over trees, but you know, in between trees, when it's been raining heavily or lightly, whatever, and setting up a day camp for the day. What's the difference in that between setting a day camp up and setting a tent up? I can't quite get my head around that. And the reason why that I brought this subject up is that I would be interested in your views, just to understand, do you think it's wrong? Or do you think it's acceptable to do that in circumstances because it's your call at the time to do it? The other one was setting your tent up too near a footpath, which is basically wrong. We know that. But I've been on Dartmoor and there's thousands of paths there, all interconnected. And most people go onto a tour and park up there for the night. And that is where all the paths end. So when you park your tent, set your tent up on a tour, you're right on, literally, a footpath. If you go on a long distance hike, like the Devon coast and Cornwall coast, that's 630 miles. To your left or to your right, which way you're going round, is the sea, and the other side is mostly farmers' land with fencing. You have to park up at the side of the path. You have very little choice. Okay, yes, you're going to set up late. But if the weather's really bad, what time do you set up? I would set up a bit earlier, because who's going to be out in that weather? If you go to the New Forest, that's covered in footpaths as well, interlocking. So okay, you might be able to be behind a tree or bushes, and you can set up there, and you're out of the way, you're hidden to a point, but you're still near a path. So where do you call that? I think really that what he said was right, but also wrong. I think you should set up a tent where you think it's safe to do so at the time. Strange enough, I had a lot more to say in my head, but now I'm talking to you now, it's sort of, God, I should have made notes really, shouldn't I? So yeah. So the other question was, you set up too early, but in the summer, of course, it doesn't get dark in the height of the summer till 9:30, 10 o'clock, all depends where in the country you are. So then if you're on a long hike, you've got to wait till 10 o'clock until it starts to get dusk, and then it's acceptable to set it up. But then in the winter, it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, but people are still out 4, 5, 6 o'clock because they're walking their dogs, etc. So what you can't set up then, or is as acceptable once it gets dark. But people are still around. They're not. Everybody's locked up indoors at 4 o'clock. I suppose they are, though. If you're on the moors, it's going to be dark, so people are going to be tucked away, or if you're in the New Forest, etc. But what is acceptable time? Or is it a thing that you're going to say, well, it is your call, and when you put it out on YouTube, are you then worried that someone else is going to make comments that you're not doing it right? Or do you not mention that you set it up early, or you set it up too late? I don't know. To me, it takes some of the fun away, because you put your film out there and then you don't know whether you've done the right thing or you've done the wrong thing, because everything is a call at the moment in time when you're out there, if you know what I mean. It's all right if you're sat in your living room watching your screen and you can sit there making, oh yeah, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have done that. But in reality, you're not there. You're not there making the call. And then you decide then to come down the mountain. You should have stayed, you coward. Oh, you made the right call. I'd have stayed, your tent would have stuck it out. And you think like, oh no. I mean, yeah, I don't know. that's all I have to say. Just make a comment. Just what do you think? I'd just be interested, really. Whether you think it was right or it was wrong. If you're new to this channel, please press like and subscribe and the little bell. And I'll see you all again shortly. Thank you for watching. Bye.